So, good evening. So, I don't think there's anyone watching at the moment, but as people join, I think we'll wait till everyone to get started. Evening, Tom. Hi, Dave. Perfect. Well, so I'll just wait for a few people to join so everyone at home with wine can get set up, ready to have a little drink this evening and learn a little about a few of these wines. Hi, Charlotte. Very good. So, I'll wait for the... So I think we'll probably have about 115 people drinking along at home with the wines. So once we hit about 100, I think we might as well get going, open the first wine, because, I mean, I have drunk a lot of wine this week, but I think it would be rude not to open a bottle straight away from the off. So I hope everyone is coping at home, and it's been a tough week. Right, 100 people, that's great. So, very first wine is the Casas del Bosque Sauvignon Blanc. So Sauvignon Blanc from Chile, from the Casablanca Valley, quite near the coast, about an hour south of Valparaiso. Very famous tourist spot for cruise ships. Not at the moment. So I think whilst we're sort of getting started, I think it'd be worth cracking this open and pouring into our first glass. So I think before we start talking about the wine, let's just have a sip. Cheers, everyone. Well done for staying at home, etc. It's I know it's tough in isolation, but trying to make things a little bit easier by chatting through a few wines this evening. So I think one of the wines will have a lot of benefit from decanting. And last week I had this sort of pitiful chemistry conical flask, and so Richard Brendan Studios kindly sent me this epic decanter that was also part of their Jancis Robinson range. So go ahead and grab the last wine, which is the Peyton & Jones Sangiovese. The one with the fancy label, some like crazy scientist on it. These guys will hopefully be joining us later from the winery. It'll be 7 a.m. in the Yarra Valley. They're mid-harvest. They're going through a lot of difficulties at the moment, as you can imagine, trying to get grapes off the vines whilst in lockdown at the same time. It's pretty tricky. So grab your Sangiovese. So some people might have the Pinot Noir, because sales this week have been amazing. So many people have the case that, and these wines are in real limited supply. They make very tiny quantities. So yeah, Jenny, if you're doing the Pinot Noir as well, yeah, be perfect to decant it. So you don't need to be gentle with it. All you need to do is get the bottle of wine, whatever you have, a litre, anything, or a decanter, just stick it upside down, get loads of air into it. And I was thinking earlier, what's a great analogy of decanting wine? Imagine you're in isolation for 6 months, or as this goes, 3 years, and with the Pinot Noir 5 years. Imagine being in isolation for 5 years and then suddenly waking up and just sort of doing a bit of stretch. So feel free to shake it around, get a bit of air into it. And I'll do the same with the Pinot Noir too. So it gets a bit of air into it, gets all those great aromas to come out, stretch their wings because they've been in a bottle for long enough. So great to get some air into it. So that was the Peyton Jones Pinot Noir. But we'll come back to those two when we see Troy and maybe Ben later. So, Sauvignon Blanc, back to our first white wine. It's, first and only white wine. Sauvignon Blanc, originally found in the Loire. First reference to Sauvignon Blanc was is 1534, I found out. So, pretty early on. It's in France, found in the Loire, in Sancerre. Also found in Bordeaux in sort of a more oaky style. Can often be blended with a grape variety called Semillon. So in the old world, they're the main two regions. So the Loire, Sancerre, where you make a really flinty, very mineral style of Sauvignon Blanc, is Sancerre. Great for pairing with goat's cheese, Chavignon goat's cheese at that great little village in Sancerre. And then Southern Burgundy, Bergerac, also make that sort of oaky style of Sauvignon. So in the old world, France, that's where you find Sauvignon, but this is from Chile. So Chile, extremely long country, nearly double the length of Italy. So a lot of, and very narrow. So all the grape growing regions are very close to the sea. So they get a lot of this cooling influence off the, of cooling breezes off the sea. And a lot of the cooling air from the Andes, obviously being stuck between the Andes and the coast. They get a lot of this cool air, which in winemaking terms, it's important because it retains the freshness in the grapes. And by freshness, I just mean that zippy, racy acidity that allows you to, that keeps you wanting that second glass. So stick our nose in it after giving it a bit of air. Might do with a bit of air as well. So this is somewhere sort of between your sort of, obviously in the New World, Sauvignon Blanc has got a great name in Marlborough, and Marlborough, of course, is Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc is the two are synonymous. So stick your nose in. There's a chemical compound in Sauvignon Blanc called a pyrazine, which is it sounds very technical, but if you're thinking of it as the grassy notes in your Sauvignon Blanc, so think of it as very gooseberry, like freshly cut grass. I think I get a lot of that freshly cut grass and tin pea gooseberry aroma. First sip. So again, I think everything that you get on the nose pulls through to the palate. Again, that real cut grass, maybe that green pepper. You get like your salad pepper, your capsicum peppers that also that have that same methoxypyrazine character. So last week I was suggesting that when you're tasting wine, it's really often hard to pick out the exact aromas that you're tasting. And then I came up with an idea that if you go to the comments and then scroll to the emoji section, you get the fruit emojis, and it sort of can trigger your brain into thinking, oh yes, I can see peach, or I can see apple, I can see lemon. So scroll through to the fruit section. It'd be great to just fire a couple of emojis in the comments and say, yeah, I'm tasting this grass, capsicum. It'd be great to hear what people can pick out and what they think they can taste. I'm going to see all the comments flying back, but if we have a direct question about the wines, there's a little question mark with like a little card down underneath. And so if you have a direct question, I'll try and answer those after each wine, between each wine. So we've got one at the moment. Let's see. How do you watch the live stream from a TV? I'm sorry, I don't know. Not wine related, but anyway. So we've got some grassy, kiwi, apple, watermelon, lemon. So these are all things that are very sort of zippy, that racy acidity, very fruity. It's not verging on tropical. So if you think of a grape growing, the fruit aromas that develop whilst it's growing come from a spectrum. And at one end of the spectrum is your racy, unripe lemon, and at the other end of the spectrum is your super ripe mango. And then anywhere on that spectrum, the aromas of a wine might fit. And Sauvignon Blanc or Sauvignon Blanc, as they call it in France, can fit quite high into that ripe spectrum. Often you get some passion fruit, but in Chile you might think, quite a warm climate. You'd love to. You might think of that tropical aroma as something like lychee or passion fruit. But I think this is a little step back away from that. So fresh apple with verging on that tropical fruit kiwi. So I don't think we go more than the kiwi, but I think we stay on that sort of fresh apple, zippy lime. Yeah, I've seen lots of kiwis go through. So if you've got any questions about the wine, just fire them into the box here. But I'll try and pick a few out as we go along. Great question. So great for the question of what food do we pair this with? Obviously, this wine's great as an aperitif, which is on its own fantastic because that grip, that racy acidity is great to just drink on its own. But anything with this kind of high acid works really well with sort of creamy or fatty foods. I'm thinking along with butter, Dover sole, something very delicate. But what you shouldn't pair it with... Oh, I've got it all over my notes. What you shouldn't pair white wine with is fresh tomato. So even if you had like a white fish, you might think, yeah, I have a white fish and therefore I have a Sauvignon Blanc. If you've got that fresh tomato or even just a tomato sauce, the acidity in Sauvignon Blanc and the acidity in the tomatoes can really clash, which can end up having the same kind of effect as you would with orange juice after brushing your teeth. Yeah, definitely there's that. I've seen sort of shellfish. Yeah, shellfish would be perfect. Scallops, prawns, as long as you don't have tomatoes. Right, I think also if you fancy being part of the conversation, we should perhaps look at bringing some people into chat. So I'm going to see who's requested to come to chat. So should we go for Tom? Tom, are you there? Souffle, yeah, it'd be great with souffle. Like, a very basic cheesy souffle, maybe with some Gruyere. Jem, Tom, how are we doing?
How's it going?
I just introduced you. So Jem and Tom, great friends of mine. Jem is pretty big cheese at Soho House. Tom is men's fashion buyer at Browns. How are you guys getting along in isolation, guys?
Yes, mega. Good
Might have
stuff.
to pull myself a little more.
We just did the same thing. We also got really eager and brought the wine out too early, so I think maybe ours isn't cool enough. How cool should it be?
I think just if you had it in the fridge and that's a great question. If you had it in the fridge and your fridge is like 3 or 4 degrees, that's generally too cold. So what happens is all the flavor moments just go into hiding, more into hibernation, and you can't really taste anything. But if you leave it out the fridge for sort of 10 minutes, get it up to like that 10, 12 degrees, it really sort of everything opens up a bit more. You can smell a lot more, you can taste a lot more, and it really sort of helps with the development. Yeah, so leaving it out of the fridge is a great thing.
We just got so excited. We set up a little station ready and rearing, and then we were like,
Are we allowed ice cubes with this one?
No.
Never.
never. Oh, shit.
It just dilutes the flavour, Tom. What you should really do is just make sure it's cold enough for but then yeah.
We're very uncouth, Elliot.
Sorry, over to you anyway. It's your turn.
No worries. No. So what have you guys been cooking in the last couple of weeks, Tom? I know you're a massive fan of cooking. So what have you been eating in isolation, drinking in isolation?
Well, I know there's a lot of terrible things going on in the world, but I think one of the main things that's probably going to come out of this is I'm going to have a Michelin star.
That is excellent. Well, cooking from Gemma.
The amount of time that you can spend on cooking is I'm in love with it at the minute. I'm just we're doing loads of slow roasts, loads of just spending time, and
I'm really good at this.
So far, so good.
I'm really good at just doing this.
How many times a week are you drinking wine, guys?
Well, I do a menu on a Sunday where I do lunch and dinner so we plan out the day, we plan out every day for the week, and then
and wine with all of it.
Obviously, when we're working from home, we normally open the bar when Boris gets to the lectern.
Yeah. Well, the message from the capital.
That's when we open.
It's a bit like Hunger Games, isn't it? When they have the briefing from the capital.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we move on to the next wine, guys?
Yeah.
I'm using another glass because if we get any questions about the about the white wine, I'm gonna use the same glass. But I'm gonna change on to the second glass for the red.
Which is the second red?
Sorry, the second red is the Viña Palaciega Rioja Crianza.
Da, da, da.
Yeah, exactly. Has everyone got that ready at home? If you want to stay drinking white wine, by all means, carry on drinking white wine. But we're gonna. It'd be great to taste the Crianza together. So. I'll just give it a little pour. Excellent. So the reason I always swirl wine around it, one, it's a habit, and I just do it out of nervous twitch now. but the other is it really opens up aromas, gets you to smell. Nice glasses, Jen.
And it makes you look good.
It really opens up the aromas, gets you. So stick your nose in it. So I'll give you a bit of background about Rioja. Rioja is actually the #1 selling wine in the UK is also a Rioja. You want to have a hazard a guess? You might have seen it in the supermarket. It's got a very distinctive label. Yeah. There's a very.
Is that a shit wine though, or is that a good wine?
No. It's a great star. It's a star that everyone loves. So it can't be terrible. By very definition, if everyone's drinking it, it can't be terrible.
It's always on offer. That's why we get it.
Could also be that, yeah. Yeah, so someone say Castillo. Yeah, it's the, what's the yellow label? I've forgotten the name of it. I looked it up earlier.
Castillo de Diablo.
Not Castillo de Diablo. It's the one with the fancy yellow label. I can't believe I forgot it. Anyway. So Rioja up till about the 1970s just made very basic, very jammy, sweet red wine. And by sweet, I don't mean sweet. Yeah, sorry, Mike, thanks. Campo Viejo. Thanks. Campo Viejo.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the #1 selling red wine in the UK. Is a Rioja. So up to the 70s used to be very like easygoing, very sort of sweet, jammy. And by sweet, I don't mean lots of sugar. I mean they like jammy fruit, so like sticking your nose in the sort of conserve sweet. It smells like ripe fruit. So the two main grape varieties in Rioja are Tempranillo and Garnacha. So Tempranillo is by far Spain's biggest planted red wine, red grape variety, and it adds a lot of that raspberry, red plum aromas to a wine. So stick your nose in. I'd love to see more emojis of what fruits we're smelling. Yeah.
Is it meant to hit the top of your mouth? I always find it hits the top of your mouth. Certain wines like goes to the roof of your mouth. Is that just me, or is that a thing?
No, I think so. What the one component of wine that is very textural is the tannin, and the way that so Tom, can I come back to your question? I'll just explain the aging and how in Rioja the aging of wines work and how they label. So general Rioja, without the name Crianza or Reserva or Gran Reserva, doesn't have to be aged at all before it's released. So we just had the Northern Hemisphere harvest in September, October last year, and you'll probably see generic Rioja reaching the market by sort of July, August next year. So very easygoing, very fruity, very fruit driven. And then you get a 3-tier system. There's a bit more than that, but 3-tier system. So Crianza, which is the wine we're drinking at the moment, has to be aged for 6 months in oak barrels or in barrels. And then after that, it has to be aged for a minimum of 24 months in bottle before being released to the market. So, and what does that add to the blend? So in barrel, you get 2 types of influence into wine from being aged in barrel. You get the first, which is the oxidation or micro-oxidation, which turns your very, very fresh fruit into a slightly more dried style of fruit. So if you had cherries at one point, you could get dried cherries with a bit of oxidation in barrel. The other, of course, is the influence of the barrel flavor. So in order to make a barrel rounded, you have to either toast it with flames, or you steam it. So very rarely is a barrel steamed because it's a much more laborious process. So the barrels are toasted to bend the staves, and from that you get a smokiness or maybe vanilla flavored from that barrel. So a lot of people are saying it tastes a little bit like chocolate. I saw a bit of chocolate, chocolate and cherry, which I get a lot of chocolate, and that can come from the oak as well as the bit of oxidation.
Elliot, someone said, how do you get it out the carpet?
White wine. You've got plenty of white wine.
I've spilled it already.
Yeah, so pour a bit of white wine, then a bag of salt.
Do you know what? It might have been my mum.
Brilliant. So and then coming back to that textural thing, is actually Tempranillo has quite thin skins, which means that it doesn't have a lot of your that textural tannin. So tannin comes in two varieties. You can either have a lot of tannin, but it can be green, and therefore, sorry, let's start again. Tannin can either be very green and astringent. Tom, I'm sure you look like the kind of guy who has bitten into a banana skin.
Well, what topic are we talking about here?
Yeah, so tannin. Have you ever bitten into a banana skin?
Yes, I've written into a banana skin as well, which I think gives you more of the texture.
Yeah, so that texture is very green, astringent tannin, and if you rub your tongue around your teeth, you might feel a bit of
There's a bit of
texture. Yeah. So that's tannin, but these tannins aren't. There's not a lot of that. If you had a Barossa Shiraz that had very old vines and tiny little berries, and it was heavily extracted, and by extracted I mean the skins are left on the wine for a long period of time, then you get a lot of tannin, and that texture would be really much more prevalent. Like, you know, when you get red wine teeth. Yeah. I'm sure we don't, but yeah, that comes from a high amount of tannin.
I think it's a really nice wine. I mean, I'm not like mad red drinker. I'm more of a white wine drinker because it's easier. But I think this is a really good level of mid level.
I think also, especially when we're talking about matching with food, it's tannin is great for when you're having steak, because it helps almost tenderize the steak in your mouth, because it helps, that texture really does help tenderize steak, helps you bite through it like butter.
Oh, what are we having tonight? Curry.
Yeah, how's the curry going down with this?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Good.
What type of curry though?
Do you want me to show you?
Yeah. Hang on, let us, I'll just put up some questions while you're away, Tom.
Oh, sorry.
So Blake, you could can everyone still see me? Can you still see me, Jem?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just looking through the questions so I can answer a few at the same time.
And hangovers, Elliot.
So hang on 2 seconds. I'm just going to look through a few of the questions. So why don't we decant this wine? We really could have decanted this wine, but it's because of its oxidation and the way that it's matured, it doesn't need a lot of oxygen to open up. So the way that the Peyton Jones make their wines is in quite a reductive style, which I'm sure Troy and Ben hopefully will join us once they wake up. Will let us know. So yeah, the Cranver has already had a bit of oxidation, so it doesn't need to be decanted. Is it okay to mix red wines and white wines at dinner? Well, I wouldn't put them in the same glass, but if you're having something that would want a white wine to start, then perfect, and then red wines after, of course. I actually really like going back to white wines at the end of a meal as well. So, right.
Oh yeah, someone else.
This one's quite. I think I'm just going to answer this one here. So, Tempranillo is the grape variety, and a grape variety that can make Rioja. So there's a number of different grape varieties allowed in Rioja. The two main ones are Tempranillo and Grenache, or Garnacha, as they call it in Spain. And and Crianza is actually just a name for the way that it's been aged. Right, let's see if there's a couple more questions. We're drinking, what temperature should we drink this wine? So cellar temperature is always the right answer. And then if you picture yourself in the cellar, in that place, it's probably going to be a few degrees below like average room temperature. So I'd like to drink this around 16 to 18 degrees. Jem, I'm gonna drop you guys so that I can look at and focus on the questions. Is that right?
One question before you go. Screw top.
Yeah.
Is that now fine?
So actually, I think it has always been fine. The most expensive wines on the market, by average price, used to be New Zealand white wines, and they were actually the pioneers of the screw cap. So they actually led the way. They decided that it also helps in the way that they make their wine. Really is helped by a screw cap. So a screw cap is obviously a very inert atmosphere, not much oxygen gets in, and that's what Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc needs, is not a lot of oxygen to age it. And obviously all the wines this evening are under screw cap. But I explained a bit last week, and the screw cap is actually only the method of closure. The actual thing that closes the wine is inside that cap. So if you had a look around a few bottles of wine, so this evening you'll see there's already two. So if you take the screw cap from the Crianza, you'll see that it's like a Teflon kind of polymer. So super nice. So that's actually from the Sangiovese.
Of course it is. I was just showing the variations.
So this locks out oxygen completely, and then this one's got like a tin lining, which is from the Peyton Jones Sangiovese, and that actually eats oxygen as well. So not only does it not allow gas in, is it takes oxygen away from the wine, keeping it even more preserved and in a position where it benefits from zero oxygen ingress.
Love it.
Right, I'm going to say love you and leave you guys. Keep safe. Bye. I'm going to answer a couple more questions whilst we wait for Troy and Ben to wake up in Australia. So it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I know they've been working super hard at Vintage, so I'll answer a few more questions. What is the correlation between tannin content and hangovers? Tricky one. Briggs, there's actually no correlation between tannin content and hangovers. Often, if you take a heavily extracted wine, and by extraction, I mean when they make a wine, there are different ways you can extract flavor compounds from the skins of your grapes. You either leave the skins of your grapes soaking in your wine for an extended period of time, and then so you get that mixed up before you start fermenting. And then during ferment, you might also punch down. So when you ferment, all the skins, because of the carbon dioxide that builds up in a ferment, as it ferments, all the skins rise up to the top, and they can dry out. So to help extract flavor and tannin and all the good things from your grapes, winemakers will punch that down back into the wet mixture, and that helps extract flavor and tannin. So whilst there's no correlation, if you have an inexpensive wine that has been heavily extracted, you often have to add excess sulfur to the wine because you're treating it in a much rougher environment, and the possibility of oxidation and microbial spoilage is higher, and therefore you need more sulfur, and therefore you could have a higher hangover. Hope that answers your question. Right, and now for the main event. We have Troy and Ben, who are currently in the Yarra Valley. They're halfway through Vintage. They're two of the biggest legends I know in the wine trade, and I cannot wait to see them because here he is. Ben, Troy, can you just introduce both of you to the guys? We've got 132 people plus or minus viewing at the moment. So how are we doing?
You know 132 people.
I don't know.
Oh, that's all right.
No, I do, man.
So Troy Jones.
Introduce yourself.
Troy Jones here from Payton & Jones, and my man in the mask, this is Benny Payton.
This isn't for coronavirus, this is just because of Troy's morning breath.
True. It's 7 o'clock. Nothing's open, so we're on cold drip coffee. It's a bit of an ordeal, but it's we'll be all right, I reckon.
So guys, we've got 2 of your wines to taste. I've forgotten which decanter I put which one in, but never mind. So we got the Valley Vigneron Pinot Noir, 2015. A couple of people have that because unfortunately we ran out of the Sangiovese, and so a couple of people have the Pinot, a couple of people have the Sangiovese, and yeah. So why don't you give us a quick load on how you're getting along with vintage? How has lockdown affected harvesting grapes, etc.? Have you got enough people to harvest?
Yeah, well, luckily enough, where we live in Victoria, the state government considers winemaking an essential service. So we're not actually in lockdown. Yeah, we are business as usual.
I mean, I agree, it is an essential service.
100%.
So how many crew do you have out picking at the moment, or are you fully already picked?
We're done. Yeah, we've got a little bit of Sangiovese to come in next week, and that's it. Everything's in the winery.
So obviously Sangiovese finds its spiritual home in Chianti, Tuscany, and you guys are making a bit of wine in Spain as well, aren't you?
Yeah, a bit of Grenache, a bit of Carignan, and some Macabeo. Yeah, nothing around there.
Oh, nice. So should we get ahead? So guys, I think for everyone tasting at home, I think we're going to taste the Pinot Noir first. So we've got the Valley Vigneron Pinot Noir from the guys who, is this your new cellar door, guys? Obviously, I've not been there yet. It's look, I've not had it. Maybe you could give us a quick tour.
Yeah. Come in the door. Nice big door. There's Jonesy.
It looks a little bit weird because part of the lockdown thing is we've had to get rid of all the tables and chairs. We can't do any tastings. All we can operate is the bottle shop now. So we've had to strip everything back to basic. So tasting bench across here with a little area where everyone sort of congregates. Because we're functioning alcoholics, as if anyone's met us, we have to have a whole bunch of our favourite whiskies and vermouths and gins and stuff like that as well. We're just more for us than anything else. We just think that we can do it. A little bit of retail area outside really quickly. Processing area. We get some cool Melbourne artists to do some little bits and pieces. I'll keep it PG and I'll keep it nice. I won't release the new wine that we're going to do for 2020, but it rhymes with Truck 2020.
Can't imagine where you're going with that one, mate.
No, that's right, mate. And then this area out here we run as a little bar and little daytime obviously, and just have a little bit of a fun sort of outdoor area, and then the full serious not serious if it's us, but taste
serious.
Exactly.
Literally from this view I can just see a lady behind you prone, and at the same time you're saying that we're serious. I mean, it doesn't quite ring true.
It should be fun, shouldn't it?
Yeah. So let's tasting Pinot Noir, obviously in the old world Pinot Noir, found in Burgundy. Obviously Burgundy is very famous for its Pinot Noir. But guys, talk us through your take on your quaffable, smashable Pinot Noir.
Basically, we do a couple of different types of Pinot Noir. This is one that you guys bring in, and we love it. For me. It's we want to have something that's fun, but something that's also over delivers in that price point.
Sorry, Troy. Just to interrupt, I've just realised that a lot of guys have the Sangiovese at home. So maybe talk about the Valley Vigneron series in general, and what the Valley Vigneron series means to you guys, where it sits in. And who you guys normally retailer to it or sell to in Australia, etc.
Yeah, for us. This is our go-to wine. So this whole series is one of those wines one of those things where we do Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Syrah, and Sangiovese, and it's the whole line. It's not bang for your buck. It's what it is. It's serious juice that we want to be able to have that you can go on Tuesday night. We're drinking something that's absolutely delicious, and it's a bit of fun as well. Sangiovese for us, as you were about to say before, it's like home. When we first brought it to you, I was like, what are we going to do with Sangiovese in the UK? It's just across the road. There's some pretty amazing booze, and I think your call was the best. It's a great gateway drug. It's a great gateway into the more serious sort of side of things, and something that we can sort of look at and go, ours is really fruit driven and really bright, and there's lots of perfume and works really well with all those I hate saying this, but all those things that we're all eating at the moment, red sauces and braised dishes, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
the pasta had run out in every single supermarket, so I decided to make my own pasta the other day. I was like,
it's wild. We're on like you're allowed to buy one or two at a time when you're walking out of the supermarket and all that sort of stuff. So
I mean, who buys more than?
No one's buying the Italian-made pasta.
Seriously.
Better luck for you guys.
It was awesome. I was there, and there was a whole row of 00 pasta underneath all the Aussie pasta that had sold out. So I was like, great, I can make pizza. I can do whatever I want. I just took all of them, and they go, yeah, just take whatever you want.
But no matter how hard it got, Elliot, no one bought risotto.
Well, is that the little ricey one?
Yeah, correct.
The one no one eats.
Should we move? So do you want to just give a bit of a I mean, Yarra is obviously.
I love 7 o'clock in the morning wine as well, by the way.
So I'm so glad. Thank you so much for getting up and doing this, chaps.
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
Question here. I can't really read most of these questions, so if there's something that pops up, but I just saw one there. Said Sangiovese, how old is the vines? It planted in 1996. Food, I just saw. Think of spag bowl, tomato braised dishes, anything like that. Classic Italian dishes is what we sort of like to do with it. For me, it's salami pizza. Like it's a classic thing. There's varietal characters. Yes, you can drink the Pinot chilled. Yes.
Yeah, I'll get rid of that.
Just as long as you
12 degrees.
As long as you drink lots of it. That's all that we're worried
Where's
about.
your gaff? So explain exactly where you're situated, because you guys obviously have a big part to play. And Ben, you said the other day that Four Pillars has been turned into a hand sanitizer production facility.
Man. Yeah.
So
our winery is directly opposite Four Pillars Distillery in Hillsville, which is in the Yarra Valley, like an hour from Melbourne.
Yeah.
So Sangiovese is not hard to grow on the Yarra. It's primo, easy as. Yeah.
So and your father, he was the first person to cultivate organic vines in Yarra. Is that right?
Yes. He works for the first organic winery in Australia. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So should we have a chat through the Sangiovese? I haven't actually poured myself a glass of the Sangiovese yet, but the way we've been doing this is people firing the fruit emojis that they can feel, they can taste. It helps explain the way you can pick out individual fruits and individual aromas. So if anyone wants to now move on to the Sangiovese, throw in a couple of ideas of what people are tasting. For me, guys, I love the meatiness to it and the savory edge. It's both for that, the Pinot Noir and the Sangiovese. It's delicious. Do you want to just run through the guy that does the labels as well?
Yep, sure. He's a mate of a mate, and his name's Roland Harvey. He did a lot of He does a lot of children's illustrations and children's books and things like that. So we wanted to have this series to be fun. We wanted to be accessible to people, not to have there's no branding on the front. It doesn't say Peyton and Jones and vintages. All that stuff's there on the back. But we wanted to have this series and have six in a row. And it was all done in a winemaking process. So there's a dude reading about Grape Expectations, how to grow it. Then there's the next one is they're in the vineyard, looking at the fruit. If it's up here, I think if Ben can sort of show up there, up here. Then they're going stomping on all the grapes, sitting there going through the ferment, waiting for it to be enjoyed, and then just everyone getting around and getting amongst it. You know, we wanted it to be about this, on a retail shelf, just to pick it up, not think about it, not do anything, and just drink it. You know what I mean? Not wine should be accessible and should be fun, and that's what we're trying to do with a lot of our stuff. We've got some serious stuff and lots of things
I love this
we'll be experimenting with. Hey,
I love this comment from Poppy. She's put grapes, strawberries, and meat. That sums up Sangiovese for me. This Sangiovese for me as well. And then we've got meat and bacon. Yeah, I love this savoury, like bacony kind of real meaty savouriness to it. It's really delicious. So what's on the task sheet for today?
Well, we're in vintage, so we're going to go out and do some winemaking after this.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We can go and have a look now.
Which ferments are you looking after? What's the
We can go and have a look if you want.
Perfect. Let's go. Yes, I want to see your ferments going. See them bubbling where I was explaining earlier about doing cap punch downs and pump overs to really get to a bit of extraction. It'd be great to see how you guys are doing it.
Righto.
So Tracy says, where can we buy the Peyton Jones wines in the UK? So they're all on the Paul the Cork website, but there's lots of little regional independent wine merchants where the full range is available.
Okay.
Daniel says, yeah. Go on then, Dan. I'd love to see what we're up to.
This is our, sorry about the noise, this is our winery. So we've got some ferments going in these tanks here. We're doing some really small batch Sangiovese in these bins here.
So is that for your Lucano guys?
Pardon?
Is that for the Lucano?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Lucano guys is a really it's quite pioneering for you. There we go. That's the cap. Oh, a few little just get those guys away.
Yeah.
Yeah, get away.
Sangiovese berries.
Nice. So is that going through carbonic maceration as well? You've got a bit of
a little bit of both. Yeah, we keep the berries really whole, so they get like really nice.
So guys, just for you guys at home, carbonic maceration is when it's like a ferment that happens within the grape itself, rather than if you crush the grape and then ferment it. You get a lot more brighter fruit aroma if you get a ferment that happens inside a grape without breaking its skin. So,
and you can see this kind of started to get a bubble because all the carbon dioxide is pushing up the plastic. And so this is Shiraz that's been going as well.
So is that for Valley Vigneron or is that for the Major Kong? Or
that's for Kong. Yeah.
So Major Kong is a crazy savoury wine with carbonic maceration. Again, it gets that real bright fruit, real meatiness to it. It's a real... so Retired Alpha, yeah, thanks, Dougie. Yeah, as I said, carbonic maceration is ferment within the grape skin. It creates a whole different aroma profile to crushed and pressed grapes that then ferment.
Yeah. See our egg, Elliot?
Yeah, a metal egg. That looks like 21st century stuff. Have you got the cure for Corona in there, guys?
And then I'll just show you. We're doing some whole bunch stuff.
Nice. So whole bunch, guys. Again, for the guys at home, whole bunch is when you don't remove each berry from the bunch of grapes. So it looks like when you've got a bunch of grapes on a cheese board. There we go. There's much better. The pictures say 1,000 words.
I didn't see the cheese board, but yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean? Like if you have a cheese on a cheese board, this is it.
So what this is what we do every second day. Is we actually do a bit of this action.
This is excellent. I'm glad we're seeing you at work, Ben. I thought you just sort of make salami and shoot roos off your porch, but I'm glad I see you at work.
It's only for the video, you know that.
Yeah.
Legend.
So we do.
So I have a question: why the metal egg rather than the more traditional concrete egg?
Because we just want to get the because it's about the shape of the tank for us. So we just want to experiment a lot with that in terms of the fermentation kinetics and the way it kind of translates into the texture and the flavour of the wine.
So we've got. Can we put the camera angle down? People want to see the ferment, guys.
Oh yeah.
Not Ben. not Ben. Sorry.
Not Ben. No, I mean Ben is very beautiful, and the little grey fleck in his eyebrow is quite sexy. But let's see the ferment.
So we've only got like a tiny amount of juice all the way at the bottom.
That's mad.
I don't know if you can see it. So what we're going to do is we need to actually give the yeast more juice.
Yeah.
So to do that,
Charlie Walter says, "Have you guys washed your hands?" Charlie, it doesn't matter. Wine is a very great antimicrobial.
Yeah, Ben, and even if we did, but Ben makes hand sanitizer for a living now, so.
So Ben is also the assistant. Here we go. Now we're getting the full. Here we go. People should have paid for this.
We're going to do a bit of this action. Get the juice going, mate.
Yeah.
It's good he's got undies on today, though.
Yeah, I hope they're fresh undies, Ben.
I planned ahead.
Yeah.
So look in there, Jen. So then we're getting.
No, that's for me. I want to see the juice.
See that? So we're feeding the yeast.
So, guys, everyone. So we were talking about carbonic maceration with the whole bunch. That's what you were getting before. But eventually, the yeast will run out of food in their ferment, and they need more of the fresh juice. Is that right, guys?
Yeah, you've got to keep feeding them until the grapes start to break down naturally.
Yeah.
So otherwise, it goes to vinegar really quickly.
Yeah. Oh, so someone just said, "Can we do a split video with me pretending to be the legs?" I think that's quite funny. Does that work?
Hang on.
I got a no from the PR manager. So someone says, "Can you speak about organic versus non-organic and why it's important or what's important?" So Troy, we've had this conversation a lot about mindful winemaking, mindful viticulture, doing stuff that is needed but not excessive, and doing stuff that is like I explained last week. It's like if you had an ill cow, you're going to treat it with antibiotics, and it's easier. It's much easier to explain it about a cow that's ill and has got a cold and needs antibiotics. But the same does happen for vines, doesn't it?
Look, it's one of those things that we always not joke about when we talk to people about organic, biodynamic, all that sort of stuff. And it's more about less is more. There's another little bit of artwork for you behind us as well. And it's more one of those things where, if you don't have, there's no point in having a whole bunch of ideals and things like that if it doesn't make delicious wine. At the end of the day, we're trying
100%.
to absolutely delicious and things that actually work and that you want to drink and get into it. In the Yarra, it's very hard for fully certified biodynamics and things like that, but we're trialing a few things with Ben's dad. Biological farming and things. So putting things into Ben will explain it better on that one. Yeah. This is biological. We don't know enough about it yet.
No, so it's essentially, I had lots of friends go organic certified in the Yarra, and they would get maybe one vintage out of 5.
Just to explain what that, let's put that into perspective for people. It's basically you put 5 years worth of work into creating vineyard and creating a crop, but you only get one crop every 5 years. That's pretty devastating. I mean, it's too expensive, isn't it? It's not sustainable.
That's not sustainable.
No. So it's more about managing the vineyard and putting as little inputs in as possible. But if it does go pear-shaped, just pulling the trigger once or twice.
And by pulling your trigger, you mean just helping the vineyard along, kill some disease, kill pests, etc. Yeah.
No, you don't. There's no real pests in, so to speak. We've never ever used pesticides. Never had to.
Yeah.
But we're moving now this year to like a biological. It's called biological farming. So we're actually, in essence, you're kind of spraying bacteria, good bacteria that helps the roots and helps the leaves. And you're putting a massive population of that in the vineyard, so the bad fungi can't grow.
Yeah.
And so it is certified, but yeah. No, I've never seen a combi. What's a combi?
I don't know what it means, man. But someone says, does organic wine taste different to non-organic wine? Good question. I'm going to leave it for you guys.
I would suggest it doesn't. It's more the way it's made. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's where that comes into the more natural wine debate.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's not much of a sunrise view. I saw one comment then, but it's
Yeah.
just
Oh yeah, is that sky is purple ants, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
The
Guys,
possums
thank
eat
you
vine.
so
No.
much.
Kangaroos,
It's been an
yes.
absolute pleasure seeing your faces. Are you? You've got a full day in the winery now.
Yeah, so biodynamics, yeah. No, our soil is off the chain. We work a lot on the soil health.
Yeah.
The store crushed the grapes with his hammer. Oh, he has called it a hammer in past. ACDC.
Motorhead. The chase is better than the catch for sure.
No, we weren't affected by the fires. Vines are 25 to 30 years old. Oh, Pinot. Yeah.
So someone says, what are your views on the sulfite filters that you can get? Like,
To take out the sulfur.
yeah.
I've never used them, so I don't know. We actually try to use as
Minimal.
little sulfur as possible or no sulfur. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I assume they're an oxidizer, aren't they? They're just hydrogen peroxide, aren't they? The filters.
Yeah, I imagine they do the complete opposite of the sulfites. Yeah, so probably not the best idea, is it? One question I just saw is, how did you guys meet and come up with this idea?
What? Sorry, what was that? I missed that.
How did you guys meet and come up with the idea of starting your own winery? Where were you before? What's the background?
We were always in the Yarra. We grew up here. Troy and I went to high school together. And when in the Yarra Valley, you can only get 3 jobs, and that's in a trade, in hospo, or 4 jobs: trades, hospo, winemaking, or fighting. And we weren't good
Neither
at
of you
trade
are very good at fighting, are you?
No, that's right.
Lost a couple.
That's where the flick in the eyebrow comes from, isn't it?
It's a permanent scar.
That's it.
Thank you so much.
That's how it started.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to catch up soon. So we've got 8 minutes left on the vid. Have you got, guys, a parting ditty that you'd like to impart on us?
No.
Nah, not really.
Stay safe, stay well.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the other side.
Love you
Can't
guys so much.
Can't wait to get back
Let's
over
chat
it.
soon.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Okay.
Elliot. Thanks, man.
Cheers, guys. Bye. Well, that was. I'm so happy that they decided to join us, because they are, as I'm sure you've realised, they're very good blokes making very good wine. I'd like to take a few more questions on the 2 Peyton and Jones wines. If anyone has questions on the Sangiovese or the Pinot Noir, it'd be great to hear your thoughts. Let's have a look here. So, just if anyone has any more questions, just fire them away. But that I was just. Jem, we're back. I'd love to hear what you thought.
Hey! I've had quite a few while you've been away.
Have you?
Yeah.
But which was your favourite of the 3?
I'm not going to lie, it was definitely this one. And not just because they've been on.
No.
How mega were they?
How great are they? They are some of my favourite people in the wine trade.
I'm obsessed.
They're great, aren't they?
So good.
And the fact that they got up at 7 o'clock in the morning to
With
talk
their
us
thoughts
through.
on, ready.
I mean, how great!
So good. Also, have you noticed we've got matching outfits on?
You guys haven't been watching the Tiger King documentary, have you?
Yeah.
He's so good.
What does Tiger King wants? Now we're just like Lindsay
I am
Savage.
obsessed with Joey Exotic.
He
Very
started
good.
like this with 80 viewers.
Okay, right. We're going to do some wine questions, Jem. What do you think about Vivino? Well, so let's go. Let's do this properly. What do you think about Vivino? So I think Vivino's good if you care what other people think about wine, but why rely on other people's tastes when you should go and taste the wine yourself? That's what I think about Vivino. Do you guys use Vivino, Jem, Tom?
Yeah, but only because
It was the first thing we did when we got the wines, just to make sure that you weren't basically conning us. But
in case you ask.
But also, okay. Let's use this as an example. I'm sure, Tom, you're into your music as well, yeah?
yeah, of course.
Do you go on to Spotify and think, oh, lots of people are listening to this music, I'll probably like it?
Yeah, it's a perfect example.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And therefore, Vivino, why try and lump something that is actually just as diverse as music into one app to say other people like this, therefore should I like it? Well, I like it. We had someone say, I've even forgotten the name of the bands because they're not my cup of tea, but ZZ Top or
You don't like ZZ Top?
no, but what were the two heavy metal bands that Dougie? Can you fire back in again, please?
I'll tell you the only reason why. Everyone's spent a lifetime listening to music, and that's everybody knows what they like to music. Wine is a complete fucking
Minefield.
Yeah, it's a complete wide open space.
So I tell you why.
Well, I was actually going to.
So easy to listen to music, and so hard to drink a lot of wine.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say.
I don't know.
I'll do my best.
In isolation, it's kind of easy.
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is actually in the complex world that we live in tonight. For me, not a very articulate wine man. You make wine seem very simple. Not just fucking bigging you up, but that's what I think tonight. So
No, thanks, Tom. But wine shouldn't be difficult. Wine is all about putting liquid on lips and enjoying what it should be. Exactly like music and art. It's just another art form. Just to taste and try something different. And once you find the thing that you like, it's just like AC/DC or Motorhead. I've remembered them. I say remember them, but someone has reminded me about it.
yeah.
Right, so let's go for another. Should we go for another question? I think, is Whole Bunch unusual? So, Whole Bunch is not that unusual, but what it does do is you can only use it in vintages where the fruit has got ripe enough, because otherwise the acidity is lowered. So Whole Bunch lowers acidity and can make wine a bit too flabby and unpleasant. But no, it's not that unusual, but it's only used in moderation in great vintages. So we've only got 2 minutes left before Instagram Live cuts off. What are you eating this evening? Tom, I want to know what you're having for dinner this evening.
So hang on. Today we've done a lamb keema curry, which is
perfect. So that pulls into someone saying, what wine for the Sangiovese? Lamb curry would be perfect. Something a bit spicy, also with lamb, which is a bit gamey and meaty like the Sangiovese. And then just Dougie says, red wine chilled or not. Yes, red wine should be chilled in the summer down to about 18 degrees. It's perfect. So Parting words, chaps.
Love you guys. Thank you.
No, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm gonna zone out now and finish these 4 lovely bottles of wine. So everyone, have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you all soon.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys. Bye. Bye.